So I've recently been helping a foreign investor with a property unit here in King's Cross, which is N1C postcode. It's a new postcode. It's a new redevelopment and one of the biggest that the city has at the moment. It's based in the Camden Borough, and I'm excited to share with you the area as I share with you the 3 things that you should consider if you're a foreign investor buying a property investment here in London. Really excited, but before we head off, I'm just going to finish my dinner as I'm just outside Lyon in King's Cross. So a lot of foreign investors love the idea of investing in a property in London to rent out, and it's easy to see why. I mean, we have a resilient market. I mean, the global pandemic is a clear example of that. The market's bouncing back very quickly, and we're getting more and more investors come back on the market. Here, we're just at the Cold Drop Yard. Hopefully you can see around. Just making our way into the Plimsoll building, which is a building that's located in the N1C area. We manage a few properties for foreign investors here, and it has everything you need in a building. It has 24-hour concierge, gyms, it has several rooftops, pretty much all the amenities that you need in a vibrant city like London. So this is the building here, we're just outside. I mean, you've got the cinema pretty much part of the building itself. So, if you are a foreign investor looking to buy a property here in London in the UK, the very first thing that you need to do, assuming that you need to finance your investment, is find out which lenders are willing to work with you. There are only a selected number of lenders, so the way it works here in the UK, usually for UK residents, is that if I, Danny Valencia, want to buy a property, assuming everything else is in order, they will do a 75% loan to value, so I need to put 25%. So let's say £1 million, I put £250,000. However, if you are not a non-UK resident, then that's going to be more likely to be around 60% loan to value, so you're going to have to put £400,000. The rates are also different, slightly different. With a foreign buyer, that can go up even to probably around about 4%, maybe even higher, depends totally on whether you're self-employed, your taxes and everything else. So that's something to consider and look, and I would always recommend that you work with a broker. Any recommendations, just give me a shout. We're always happy to help. We have specialists that work with overseas buyers. The second thing you should be looking at is your stamp duty land tax. Now, this is a tax that you pay on any property or land that you buy over a certain price. And it's different if you're a UK resident or if you're overseas. That actually changed this year, being a 2% surcharge for overseas buyers. So to give you some context on this, the maximum that a UK resident will pay on tax on stamp duty would be 15%. When it comes to the overseas buyers, the maximum is going to be 17%. So to put some context on this, I've ran some numbers. If you're looking at a £1 million property, for example, you will be paying, if you're a UK resident, you'll be paying around about £70,000 or just above that. If you are an overseas resident, then you will be paying around about £90,000. So that's a £20,000 difference there. And again, that change came into effect this year for overseas buyers. The reason behind that, the government's reason at least, is that they want to cool off the London property market, which is going quite crazy, or was going quite crazy. And whether that's working, especially in the prime London area, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen any evidence of that, but it's something to monitor. It's just kicked in the last few months. So before I jump onto the third thing that you should consider if you're a foreign investor buying a property here in London, if you did want to find out the full and real cost of buy-to-let in London, whether you're a foreign investor or a UK investor, feel free to jump onto the other video that we shared recently. It should come up on the screen. Feel free to go there because there's some real value there. So the third thing, non-residential landlord scheme. So quite effectively, as a letting agent, or even if it's a tenant dealing with you directly, if you're a foreign investor getting rental income we should withhold 20% of your rental income and pass that on to HMRC, which is the taxman. If you wanted to avoid that happening, then what you can do is complete an NRL 1 form, which will allow you to deal directly with the taxman and be able to pay when and if the taxes as needed. So it put you in the same position as a UK resident, because that's what we do. We pay when and if needed. The reason they do this, by the way, is because as an overseas investor, HMRC sees it so much more challenging having to pursue you being overseas if you don't pay your tax. But again, complete that form and you're all good. We help a lot of investors complete that form and make sure they can deal directly with HMRC. So, what have we seen so far? We've seen the mortgage. When it comes to mortgage, usually UK residents, 75% loan to value. If you are international, you're looking at around about 60% typically. When we look at stamp duty, we know that's a 2% surcharge which kicked in this year. So you're paying 2% more than a UK resident. That's the max. 17% would be the max. And then we're looking at the non-residential landlord scheme, which again, 20% retained, otherwise complete that form. I hope you're finding this helpful, and if so, please feel free to click on that bell so you can get regular updates from us or subscribe as well.